Hey everybody, it's ChrisMartin.tv here, and this is Pandemic Business. This is our third Financial Friday episode, and I'm joined today with Jason Hensley from City National Bank and Dr. Samantha Lankford once again from CETES at Cameron University. And we're going to start off with Jason and have him introduce himself since he's first time on the show here and tell us a little bit about what City National is and what they do. So Jason, thank you for joining us today.
Glad to be on the show, Chris. Hi, everybody. My name is Jason Hensley. I'm Senior Vice President, Chief Operations Officer here at City National Bank. City National is we're a 119-year-old family-owned bank. We're in two different states, Oklahoma and Kansas, with about 41 branches. We've got a few more planned later in the year. City National, the majority of our business is both as a community bank is going to be commercial banking, as well as in-store retail banking. So that's the majority of what we do here at the bank.
Excellent. And how long have you been there?
So this is my 20th year. Actually, next month will be 21.
Excellent. Well, congrats on that. And Dr. Lankford, we're going to let you just kind of refresh everybody.
Sure. I'm Dr. Lankford. I'm the director for the Center for Emerging Technology and Entrepreneurial Studies at Cameron University. And I'm also the Southwest Regional Director for the Oklahoma Small Business Development Center under the SBA.
Excellent. Thank you.
Thanks for inviting me.
Cool. Glad to have you back, and thanks to Jason for joining us. And this has been an interesting week. Yesterday we had plans for today's show, and a lot of those plans kind of got thrown out the window real quick. So we're sitting here in a very interesting time now, and I think a lot of people want to know what's going to happen, what the future holds, and what the alternatives are. So, Jason, what do you have to say about where we're going to go here going forward?
Sure. Where I'd like to really kind of start is let's start with where we've been, and just to kind of give everybody a little bit of an update concerning nationwide as well as here for the state of Oklahoma. So nationwide, there was about 1.6 million loans that were made, totaling about 342 billion. The difference between your 342 and your 350 is the reimbursement requirements to the financial institutions that are part of the program. Lender count, there was almost 5,000 banks across the United States that participated in the program. For Oklahoma, I want to say that you've got a large amount of banks who are working hard for the small business owner here in the state of Oklahoma. Oklahoma ranked 18th in the United States for the amount and number of loans that were made. Total loans that were made in the state of Oklahoma, 35,557 loans to small businesses, totaling $4.6 billion. To date, though, we're going to talk a little bit about the $250 billion that's currently in the House and the Senate being discussed. But just so you know, for Oklahoma banks, with the applications that are still have not been approved by the SBA that banks were working on prior to the money running out, there's still about 2,865 loans totaling $206 million. And those are just the loans that were being worked on. That's not including other small business owners that will have an opportunity to participate and continue to participate in this 250 that we're going to talk about here in a minute. Oklahoma we were number 10 in the United States. We covered 63% of all of our eligible payrolls throughout the state. In comparison, Nebraska was the highest at 75%. California and New York were the lowest in the 20%. So, the Mid-America here, we really did an excellent job of trying to go out there and do our best for our small business community throughout the state of Oklahoma. The one thing I want to talk about, guys, is that there is hope. I know I've been talking to some people today, and I've heard some things looking through Facebook and Twitter and LinkedIn on the social media sites I'm on. I know some people are worried that what's going to happen. The money's run out. There is the EIDL loan that Dr. Lankford is going to talk about, but the PPP loan, the Paycheck Protection Program, I guarantee you guys, there's going to be another $250 billion that's going to get approved, if not a little bit more than that. So the one thing I want to tell you is here are a few things that you guys need to do in order to make it to this next round. The first one, I know it's going to be a little bit hard for some, but take a deep breath. There is hope on the horizon. The second thing, you guys need to call your Congress people. You need to get up there and you need to make those phone calls, talk to the senator, talk to the congressman about how you feel, what's going on, why is this money so important to you, and that you really need to be a part of this next round of that they're getting ready to vote on. Bankers have been calling every day for the last week talking to congressmen. We have through Oklahoma Bankers Association and a couple of other organizations, we're making phone calls. Bankers across Oklahoma are making phone calls to talk to our congresspeople and let them know how we feel and that we're fighting for our small business owners. But guys, they get tired of hearing from us. They need to hear from you guys as small business owners why it's important and how we can help. Chris has put, I believe, out there on the website, it's republicanwhip.gov/PPP. What that website is that's an opportunity for you guys to go and share your story. And you'll see it when you first open up the website, it says share your story. It's to be able to tell the Senate, to be able to tell the House of Representatives exactly what's going on in not only the state of Oklahoma, but any other state or any other small business that's participating with it. Those personalized stories carry more weight than any phone call that I'm going to make to any congressperson up there in DC. So I highly recommend and I highly encourage you guys, take a few seconds, take a few minutes to go and fill that out because it does make a world of difference.
Well, we're definitely seeing that we want to have representation here within the small businesses themselves because, like I said, you're right. And I think there are far more voices from us than there are from bankers. So I think we can be a louder voice and a little more influential with that. And plus, we all can vote. So there's that. So,
Yeah.
That's nice. No, so Dr. Lankford, so give us a kind of an update now with EIDL and with the hope for that and what's available to small businesses now that everything that went down yesterday has taken place.
Well, they also shut the EIDL loan application down yesterday, and I believe those funds have now been exhausted. And as Jason said, if this $250 billion comes, I think they're just going to reinvest that. I mean, they're going to distribute those funds to the PPP program. So whoever was able to get, apply for the EIDL loan is still in the system. As far as I know, there's a rumor that they might be distributing those funds even today, but I have not personally heard anyone that has received those. Jason, have you?
No, I've not heard of anyone receiving those funds today yet.
I think sometimes people get confused between the two programs and then they think that PPP is EIDL, but they're not the same thing. So, obviously the PPP went faster because the banks were the ones distributing those funds and helping people. Otherwise, the U.S. Treasury is just working on processing those applications. But so I don't know yet how much there was in terms of loans, but that's still yet to come. So yeah.
In regards to that, there were some people that I talked to friends of mine, other business owners that had talked about the application, and they'd gone weeks without hearing word. They'd received a confirmation number. They were successful in getting the application, or at least apparently successful in getting it submitted, but then never heard anything, and then tried to track down the status of it, and just came up with nothing. So.
Yeah.
What is the process in that? Is there still hope for those that have submitted that they might still get some money out of this?
I would say this. A couple of days ago, I think it was on Monday, everyone who is in the system for EIDL received a friendly email from the system, and it said, "Dear applicant, just so you know, we also have this PPP program, and make sure you applied for everything properly." And for me, that email did little more than just reassure everyone that, hey, if you receive this email, we have your application. It doesn't mean it's processed. And then they did write in this email that you would potentially get this advance within 3 days of your application being submitted, but that's not true, right? Because that did not happen. They still have to process all these applications. So I'd say we're just going to have to hold on, for a week or two still to find out.
So in the meantime, what do we have outside of EIDL from the SBA? Are standard loans still being looked at and processed? Or is this just literally EIDL and nothing but?
No, you can still go get your normal SBA loans. And there's also, additional disaster loans not applicable to COVID. In addition to that, there are, of course, we have our own incentives, but with the governor for the, what's that called, the manufacturing incentive. But that, as far as I know, is going to be shut down soon as well because they've exhausted those funds. So rather than that, the U.S. Chamber of Commerce has come out with, as on the 20th, a small business fund, and some other, let's say, large corporations, Yahoo and Facebook, are trying to come up with some kind of small business grants as well to sort of, how do you say that? Take up the slack. So, but other than that, the SBA, I mean, they do have programs for people that already had existing loans, and maybe Jason can talk about that as well. So. But you had to have already established a relationship with the SBA and had a loan in the past, so bridge loans, etc.
Well, and you mentioned the state level and the National Chamber of Commerce, but I heard that Oklahoma City had somehow set aside some money for either minority-owned businesses. I'm assuming there are multiple local chambers across the nation that might be offering, not guaranteed to be offering, but might be offering similar programs and grants as well. So what's your advice for anybody that is in need of one for their area? Should they reach out to their chamber, or is there kind of a website that has aggregated this data yet that you know of?
Yeah, I would start with the chamber, and then I would just do, I mean, what I've been doing is just a large Google search and, trying to find, talking to your county, your state, local businesses around you that support the community, but there's no one particular place, because funding could be out there in different areas, as well as crowdsourcing is supposed to be pretty big in a lot of big cities. And the bigger the city, the more they're providing relief, like in New York City or San Francisco. But I mean, as far as I know, in Lawton, I haven't heard anything specific. But we're all suffering here pretty hard. So.
Well, and absolutely, I know that we weren't. I don't know of anything in Lawton right now, but since we're kicking this out across the web, I'm sure there's a lot of people that are outside of Lawton watching that, or at least I hope they are. And this information is applicable to anybody through this process. So definitely check your chamber and your other business organizations and networks, and even your networking groups, because somebody might know, and get the information out there and see what's available. And of course, constantly check. This is not just a one-off thing. Like daily, as we're going through this, things are going to be popping up. So you got to stay on top of that.
Yeah.
So,
Chris, I want to say, sorry, I was interrupting you. So one thing that I'm thinking about Lawton is, and in general, the whole world, is nobody quite understands who is going to still be there as a business when this is over. So if I think about all the businesses in Lawton, I mean, we just assume that when it's over, we can go back to the same restaurants and the same stores. But really, I almost would ask the local businesses, everyone, to somehow make it clear to people and not to be ashamed or anything, to let us know like who is in need. Because I mean, I know that people would help out in this community, and we all say like we'll help out when it's over, and we'll all get up and we'll all go out to eat the restaurants. Well, those restaurants and those places of business might not be there. So if they remain in the shadows and we don't know, then we can't help them. And I don't know if there's a forum that we could create where that's clear, and maybe we could do some fundraising there,
Honestly, I think that's a great idea, and to be able to aggregate that data would be fantastic. And if anybody that's watching, please feel free to reach out to me. Message me here on the Facebook page or on LinkedIn or wherever you're watching this, and get the information to me. We might be able to find a way to aggregate it, at least on a local level, and maybe we'll find a national aggregator we can push that into. So, Jason, Dr. Lankford mentioned that there might be other SBA things that obviously are outside of the EIDL. Is there anything that, as a bank yourself, that you have in mind as an option that is outside of the economic injury stuff?
Yeah, I mean, the very first thing is make sure that you're, and like Dr. Lankford said, make sure that you're talking to your banker. Let them know that there is a need. There are some one or two other programs out there right now. One of them is called the Federal Reserve Main Street Lending Program. The challenge with it is that it's not fully up and going yet, as far as they're asking for some commentary to be able to make some finalized rules. But the main thing is talking to your bank and saying, hey, I need some help. And whether that's, asking for payment deferment, or asking for, if there's maybe some reorganization that needs to happen, it's the conversation, and it's that direct communication is what's needed. I know a lot of our officers here have been reaching out and have reached out over the last, month, talking to all of their customers, trying to get a feel for what the need is, how can we help in any way, that type of thing. but maintain that contact. The second one is why we're looking for these other opportunities or these other programs. Make sure that you go in and find out if that bank is going to be continuing to participate in this PPP loan program once the money becomes available. As an example, City National, we're committed. We are going to be continue to participate. And just recently on my personal LinkedIn and on also throughout for City National Bank on all of our social media sites, we went on ahead and put out there, hey, we're going to continue to participate. We want your applications. We put our tiny link out there for people to be able to reach it and to fill out the application and then be able to send in, because what we're going to continue to do is once we get those, we're going to continue to work them and get them ready to go. So as soon as SBA says, hey, you're good to go, the money's there, we're going to immediately start loading them into the system. So again, communication, get that loan application filled out, that paycheck protection program, and allow your bank the opportunity to work for you.
So I think the biggest bit of advice that both of you are giving us is that just because things are on hold doesn't mean it's over. So definitely get the stuff out there and be prepped for it, right?
Correct. Absolutely.
So and I've got you both up on the screen right now. So I'll let you kind of volley off these. Which one, if you're a small business right now, which one, either the EIDL or the PPP, would be more of a priority to apply for in the hopes that things do free up?
I mean, in my opinion, it's going to be the PPP loan. It's a grant. It's free money from the government. And whereas in an EIDL loan, you're going to have 2% or no, 3.75% over a particular 2-year period. Go for the free money, guys. That's what it's there for.
Just correct. It's 3.75% over. You can have it up to 30 years.
30 years. Okay.
Yeah. But I mean, it's sort of a moot point until we realize, if there are going to be any more EIDL loan funds. But as Jason said, I mean, free money is always good. I think a lot of people are looking at these EIDL loans in terms of not just business continuity, but maybe they can expand, etc. Even though that is not what they're supposed to be using the funds for. It's supposed to be business continuity and sustainability. So we'll see what that and what happens there. And that's supposed to be up to 6 months worth of funds for the EIDL loans. So those could be potentially larger.
The challenge that we've seen, and I'll speak a little bit from the chamber side, is that the PPP loan did not cover the chambers out there. Chambers operate as a 501c6, and unfortunately, they're not included in the PPP loans. Only a 501c3, the 501c19, and the Native American veteran and the veteran stuff. So, as an example, the Lawton Chamber, had to reach out and be able to look into doing an EIDL loan because it wasn't covered. And I know that I made a phone call or 2 phone calls really to Congressman Cole and then also to Senator Lankford to tell them, in this next round, you guys need to be thinking about, and I just say chambers, any organization that's operating as a 501c6, you guys need to include them so they can participate in this type of program because they're also hurting as well.
Well, and I mean, ultimately, the purpose of a Chamber of Commerce is to promote business. So being
Correct.
Almost a portal, if you will, for advice and information through this process, I think would be critical. So it is kind of surprising that they were not included, especially considering C3s and C19s were. But at the same time, I understand possibly part of the thinking as to why they weren't included. But either way, I think the chamber is going to be a critical piece of the puzzle, regardless of what city you're in. Chambers of commerce exist nationwide. There are thousands and thousands and thousands of them. And the sole purpose of a chamber is to help its members with their businesses and help them grow. So, if you are a chamber member, reach out to the chamber because I guarantee you they've got information on it, even if they're not currently able to take advantage of either one of these programs. So, we've got these potential grants, and for those that might be curious, if a grant's not coming from the government in this particular process, what are the tax implications when it comes to showing that as income or a taxable contribution? And I'll let either one of you take that.
That sounds like a question for you, Jason.
Oh, wow. So actually, I'm not a tax accountant or a CPA. the grants are, of course, those are forgivable, so those are not, those won't affect income as I understand it. Any other type of loan, it's going to be a little bit different. So, a lot of it's also going to be based upon the tax status of that business, and exactly how they're filing, if they're a partnership, if they're, a corporation, and things are going to change if they're a C corp versus an S corp. So, I mean, that really is kind of individualized, of course.
Well, and kind of a follow up in the receiving of one of these programs. We've talked about people that were receiving them, or the money ran out before they received it. But what were the I want to say the rejection rates, if you will, or the approval rate? These weren't loans that 100% of the applicants were getting, or grants that 100% of the applicants were getting. Do you have kind of the numbers on what the success rate was on getting those through? And I kind of threw you a curveball there, so sorry about that.
Yeah. To be honest with you, Chris, I don't. I'm looking at the latest slide deck from SBA, and of course, it's all the good news. And but I don't see a denial rate. Now, I'll say, for city, I don't think we had anybody that we turned away. To be honest with you, that I'm aware of. And so I'm sure that was probably the story for a large majority of banks. If they turned them away, it was because they may not have qualified due to their, if they're with their tax status, or they had certain requirements that they didn't meet for whatever reason, or they hadn't filed taxes yet, or things of that nature. So I'm sure the rate is going to be pretty low concerning the rejection rate.
And Chris, there's also the possibility that you can appeal their decision as well. So they've been saying that from the start. So I don't think they're just not ready to publish rejection rates first. They could focus on the positive, but
yeah, I can definitely appreciate that. I just went blank. I was sorry, I was going to ask another question there, but with the appeal process, with the money being gone, can the appeal still be filed in a successful way, or is it literally they have to wait until more funding is made available?
I have not seen any wording on the appeal process. We were just told in our training early on that there would be an appeal process, but I haven't seen any coverage of that yet. And Jason, have you heard anything on that front?
In any of the information or documentation we've received, I've not heard anything about that either. Same thing, we've heard that there will be an appeal process, but not how to go about it and when it would be appropriate to use it.
All right. Well, that kind of covers most of what we've got to deal with here. I know it's kind of been whiplash. I mean, not only is the pandemic causing whiplash when it comes to emergency orders and safer at home or sheltered home, whatever it may be called in your particular area, but as business owners, this is definitely something that continuity for us is something that we're really concerned about, especially those of us that have put everything we are into our business. So, for those of you that are watching, trust me. I mean, I personally understand. I get it. As a business owner, it's not a fun time, but literally the only thing we can do is be positive and push through for this, and make sure that you're reaching out to resources like Jason, like Dr. Lankford, and making sure that you're staying up to date on things. This show, we plan on doing Financial Friday every Friday until things, change shape into a way that it's not needed anymore, and we hope that's soon. But in the meantime, just make sure you're constantly reaching out. Don't let the shutdown, if you will, shut you down. We want to make sure that everybody that is part of this is understanding that we're all in it together. And like Dr. Lankford said earlier, don't be ashamed to talk about the situation, because I guarantee you are far from being the only one in this mix, in this mess. And we're all, if we can band together, support each other, support local businesses, support our friends and our neighbors that have other businesses like ours, I know we can survive this and get through it together, and if not thrive. So jump on that. Is there any kind of, additional wisdom, advice that either of you have that we could throw into the mix here? Because I can talk till I'm blue in the face about this, but I don't think people tend in to watch me.
Well, I'll say this. Talk to your community bankers. Smaller community banks have been able to approve more loans and faster and fund them faster than the larger regional or mega banks. I have a friend of mine who has an Irish pub down in Dallas. He had applied for a loan with Comerica, and Comerica down there, for a whole month, didn't have any type of communication to him concerning his application. And so now, he's one of those ones that's left out, and I'll be talking to him about, maybe, allowing us an opportunity up here to do it. But that's the main thing. Go to your community bank, because they're the ones who are going to work harder for you than these large regional banks.
Dr. Lankford, do you have anything to add to that?
Yep, I would say, one, make sure you keep submitting your triple P loans to your banks. Even I know that some clients of mine have said that their banks told them to stop submitting. And I say, submit anyway via email, and at least it's in the queue, because as soon as they say that we have more funds, then everyone's going to start, jump on the bandwagon again. At least you'll be, you'll have digital copy of, receipt that you submitted that. And from what I heard, Congress is going to meet next in, is it May 4th or something like that? So we might have to wait a little bit longer. I don't know if they're going to make a quicker decision. But as I've said before, don't stay in the dark, because this community can rally together to keep people around. And I think we're so optimistic and a little bit in denial that we just don't realize what's happening. But, we were all so active in the chamber and, around town, that we're going to go back into normal life, and maybe half the people will be gone, and we need to go get them and figure out as a community how to revive ourselves. And thank God we have, the banks, lenders like Jason, City National, help us. But, and I would say in other communities, the banks haven't been so helpful. So Lawton's done a great job. So.
Well, there's some pretty amazing people in this community, and just reach out, let us help.
For sure. And, based on the numbers you're saying alone, especially, it really doesn't surprise me that Oklahoma's doing as well as it is in this particular area, because we are a rallying society in this state. When it comes to disaster and things like that, we have proven time and time again. We've got a 25th anniversary of one of our greatest disasters coming up this weekend. And I think we've proven to the world time and time again that when it's time to rally, that's what we do, and we can make it happen. So, Jason, I want to throw one back to you real quick. Is City National taking on? You alluded to it, but I will want it like a specific, clear answer on this. Is City National taking on new customers during this time, especially regarding PPP options?
Yeah, we're wanting to help as many people as possible. So, like I said earlier, we're going to continue to participate in the PPP loans once the money becomes available. So yeah, come and talk to us. Give us a call. Check out our website, cnb1901.com/PPP. We actually have a website devoted to it, as information as well as the application to be able to submit. People are more than welcome to reach out to me through Facebook or LinkedIn or Twitter. I'm glad to help out where I can. I'll make sure that I get you to the right people who are working on those loans day and night right now. And so, yeah, wherever we can help, absolutely.
Excellent. Well, we've got about 30 minutes in here, and I'm not seeing any questions on the feed here. But if you guys happen to have any and you want to throw them in here real quick, go ahead and get them going. But I think what we're going to do at this point in time, because we've run out of information thanks to the feds on what we can talk about. Last week we had all sorts of stuff to talk about, and now we're just kind of like, it's a sit and wait thing. So my biggest thing to offer to anybody again is just the wisdom of patience and perseverance through all of this, and reach out to friends. You can still be socially distant and do things like this. Skype and Zoom and Google Hangouts, FaceTime have become kind of the new norm. So do it. Reach out to people, talk about things. Feel free to jump in on the comments and talk to us there about things you might have questions with, or reach out to us individually. And I would be more than happy to forward messages on as needed if you want to funnel it through us, or at least get you contact information. And we'll put some contact information in the show notes as well to make sure that you've got access to that. So again, thank you both for being on the show, and I appreciate it very much. And I know that it's Friday, so we can finally relax, hopefully a little bit. But again, thank you all,
Yeah.
and thank you for watching, and thank you guys for joining us. And if I do want to end with this, if anybody does want to be on Pandemic Business as a regular host or a guest, not on the Financial Friday, or even potentially on Financial Friday, make sure that you fill out the form at chrismartin.tv/live interviews. And that's to give you a chance to be considered to be on the show. And we do these shows a couple times a week sometimes, depending on the schedule. And we'll get you on here and we'll talk about what you're doing now in this new era of things being weird. Your new processes from curbside pickup to appointment only, or whatever it may be. We want to make sure that we get that information out there to everybody, and that we can help as much as possible. There's no cost to be on this show. So reach out, and like I said, if we can fit you in, we'll get you on the show, and we'll take it from there. But I think at this point in time, we're going to wrap it up. Again, thank you both for being on the show with me today. I greatly appreciate it. I know that it's Friday,
Thank you.
so you'd rather be home, but it's been incredibly helpful. Well, you are.
Well, it works. So.
Jason's at second home, so close
That's
enough,
true,
right?
That's true. Okay.
Thank you both. You guys have a great one.
You too. Take care.